ever wonder, why is the moose in space.com? That's right. Our friends over at whyisthemooseInspace.com. That's right. Space Moose Entertainment is the official home of Blast from the Past, Get Educated, and Movie Night. Yes, I met these people actually at the Niagara Falls Comic-Con, and pretty fucking funny. There's no other way to sum it up. Like, I think right now, currently my favorite episode right now is Mike versus Mike Tyson Punch-Out. So what you need to do is look them up on Facebook, Space Moose Entertainment, and let me tell you, you're going to see all his video clips. Right now, the Blast from the Past section is currently being worked on from what he's been telling me, but the other two sections, which Get Educated and Movie Night, is still happening. And go to their website, whyisthemooseInspace.com. How do you forget this website name? Like, that website name is like fucking mind blown is what's going on. He's got 14 episodes already up from the Blast from the Past. He's got a lot of episodes as well for Get Educated. This guy is fucking funny. So is his girlfriend. She's just as much fun as well. So with that said, check this out. Do it right now. And once you get there, tell them the droid sent you.
Why the long face?
She always looks so surprised to see us.
If this game had a shame meter, it'd be full right now.
Welcome to the Droids You Are Looking For Canada. On Facebook, on Twitter, now on G+, and the podcast starts now.
This is blasphemy. This is madness!
This is Droid Talk!
So this week we have Ryan here for, well, the Kerplunq anyways, who is a resident fan and friend of the Droids You Are Looking For Canada. We didn't do a podcast this weekend, so what we did was, me and Ryan went to the movies?
The movies, we did.
Went to the movies. We went to see, what movie did we go see, Ryan?
I think we saw Debbie Does the Transformers.
Pretty close to it. We went and seen Transformers Age of Extinction. Now, just as a heads up, before anyone gets pissed off, there will be spoilers. Spoiler alert. I don't know if there's any other way I can put this to anyone, that there will be a boatload of spoilers. We're going to try... This podcast won't be too long, because me and Ryan... I just drove all the way home, and we're both pretty gassed. It was a pretty long day looting comic books. And before the end of the podcast, we have an exciting announcement. So we'll leave that to the end, which Ryan asked if we could do that. So we will do that, because it's pretty exciting. It's a new addition to our show. We'll say how. A little bit of a hint?
It's awesomeness.
It's awesome news. A little damp in the pants. So, Ryan has not seen the third Transformers film,
no,
which
I
was
lived
funny.
under a rock at that time, I guess.
I think it was funny, because what did you say? I haven't seen the third movie. Do you think it's going to matter? Well, I think they'll sum it up. Otherwise, you're fucked, is what I said. Alright, well, let's try and break it down so we don't go too far ahead of ourselves. I think, overall, the film takes place, I think they said, was it 5-10 years after the third movie?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was a couple of years after the third one.
Yeah, and pretty much the Autobots are in hiding because the humans are tracking down the Decepticons, secretly hunting down the Autobots. I think it was a really good film, and I'll start right there, is that I think the common consensus that both me and Ryan had when we walked out of the theater was, this is a good movie, I won't see it again, but it was a fun movie.
That's fair to say, yeah. It was a solid movie. Before we start ripping it apart like everybody does when they watch movies, it was a fairly good movie. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty fantastic.
What I'll say is the film is... One thing the film was is that it had a lot of entertainment value. Now, I'm not sure if you knew, but opening day, it grossed $100 million on opening day, which does rally a lot of the other films that came out this year, like Captain America and etc., and even X-Men Days of Future Past, which was a very excellent film as well. I think the selling point of this movie, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, I'm pretty sure the Dinobots, I think the scene of Optimus Prime riding Grimlock is what made people go to the theater.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it was kind of hard watching that part and not yelling, America! He's running through China on Grimlock. So let's start about the storyline. Now, the storyline takes place 5-10 years after the last film, and they're hiding and everything to that effect. We get introduced to new characters because Shia LaBeouf doesn't want to act anymore, apparently. Megan Fox is now in TMNT, which that's a whole different argument. And, and more or less, pretty much the humans at this point are trying to destroy all of the robots. Not just the Decepticons, but the Autobots. Main reason for it, their resources and technology, which is kind of funny if you think about it. That's pretty much what humans do, if you really think about it, is that we end up killing each other for some type of gain in technology or something close to that. So that kind of had a good human factor to it. But I think the big selling point for me, and I'll let Ryan have a little bit of a spiel himself, is that got to see the original Optimus Prime. I think that was nice to see.
Yeah, that was actually probably one of the coolest parts of the movie. One of the coolest, the other one obviously being Dinobots. But yes, seeing the original Optimus was freaking badass. That's for sure.
Now, do you think that they put enough time in the character development or the storyline?
Oh, I think they spent a lot of time on a lot of things.
Well, I think that they gave it adequate amount of time, I guess I would say. I think some of the reviews that I've read over the last couple days since this movie has launched is that they felt that the Transformers themselves, because we got to meet new Transformers, which, we kind of knew of them from the original cartoons, but they never were mainliners. But then you got to see Hound, which I'll leave that to later, how happy I was about Hound. That people are like, oh, we should have storylines. I don't really think that you need to have an origin storyline for every character that walks onto a film. I think that would just take away from the fact that it was already a 2-hour and 45-minute film. But I think the storyline with Mark Wahlberg's character, just being a random engineer, person who's trying to make his own robots, just happened to stumble over a Transformer, a little bit too coincidental. But I think it was still a fun character. I think.
I would agree with that. Absolutely would agree.
But I'll go and say that I'm not a Mark Wahlberg fan, because there's a lot of he's not one of those actors like you could even say like Morgan Freeman, that no matter what role he touches, that movie is gold in some way, shape, or form. There's been a lot of bad movies under his belt, and that this is when I remember when this came out a long time ago. I was kind of like, Wahlberg, eh? Huh. I didn't know what to think of it, and now he's playing like a father, and he's got a daughter sneaking out in the middle of the night to bang some Irish dude in a Subaru. Was it a Subaru?
No, it was a Chevy product.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like rally car driving. Then why are you using a Chevy? Don't you want to win the race?
It's because they have like a contract with Chevy. That's why in the original one, they made fun of the Volkswagen Beetle. Instead of being Bumblebee as what it should be, they made it a Camaro.
Yeah, I think that I was kind of happy with it anyways, in terms of Bumblebee not being the Volkswagen. It was just, I don't know, it was never really a selling point for me. Now, in terms of the voice acting, we can talk about that. We had Optimus Prime reprise his role, which was pretty fantastic. I mean, who else could be Optimus Prime? But then there was a couple different voices. You had the one samurai Autobot, who was Ken Watanabe, which is one of my favorite actors. He was if you remember, he was the main samurai guy from The Last Samurai, if you remember that. And then John Goodman. Oh, life was good. I couldn't pick a better role for John Goodman in a Transformers movie ever.
No, it was right on, Mark. Absolutely, right on.
And obviously, they reprised the original voice of Megatron, was now Galvatron. That's another thing I think I'll stick on about in just a minute. But I think overall, I think the acting was very well done. I think the one character, I think it was played by I got to look up his name for the life of me because it escapes me, which is pretty bad because I was thinking about it the whole way home, and I was in my head kind of just putting through like, oh, this is probably who I want to bitch about. Stanley Tucci, who was the Steve Jobs wannabe kind of person. I kind of love the product placement in the movie too, which It was
Yep.
clearly, I'm Apple, but I'm not Apple, but I'll look like Steve Jobs as much as humanly possible.
And
So
hold
now-
a round circular ball that looks a lot like an apple and display it like an apple.
At least we know if Steve Jobs was still alive and he had access to Transformer technology, we know how he would turn out.
I think he does. I don't think he's dead. I think he's with the Autobots actually right now.
Maybe the iPhone is made out of his body parts. Spare nerves.
That's amazing.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? And it still explain why the product sucks. But I think his character was kind of a little bit over the top. They made him more of like a bumbling buffoon kind of character who's like, oh, I am going to like rule the world. And it was like, on second thought, maybe this is bad. I have a conscience now. But I really like Kelsey Grammer. I think I don't know what it is. I've never seen him in this type of role before where he was like this really badass CIA agent and then you're like, oh, this actually works. I like this.
Yeah, Fraser being a bad guy, that's awesome.
I don't know if it's because he's in the next Expendables film, so he's trying to beef up his resume of being a badass. Because everyone knows him now as Beast, which is not necessarily a bad thing because I think it fits him very well.
I still see him as Fraser.
Yeah, he'll always be Frasier, but I remember him when he was Frasier on a bar stool in Cheers.
This is true. This is true.
With his really weird wife. That's
Lilith? Yeah.
Lilith. I just never get past me. Overall, I think the acting was very well played. I enjoyed it. There's a couple things, though, that were just kind of ridiculous, which we'll eventually touch on. Now, I think... Here's the thing, and I want Ryan to really comment on this, is that do you think there was enough explosions in this movie, or do you think Michael Bay ran short?
I think he ran short. I didn't see an explosion every 5 minutes. It was more like every 10 minutes, and I don't think that's very fair for all the Michael Bay fans. I think they deserve more explosions.
I agree. Like I remember it was the video Super Titanic 3D when chairs would just fall over and things would explode. I think that was kind of funny, and I think Michael Bay needs to strive for that.
Yeah, he needs to pick up his game.
I think. See, here's the problem I always will have with Michael Bay, is that he is a lazy director, and what I mean by that, it's kind of like, well, I'm making this movie, so go over there and make me some CGI, and we'll just piece it together later, and we'll put it together. A lot of the shots in the films that have occurred, the Transformers films, are recycled shots of other battles that's happened. So he's kind of like saving a buck by doing the same things over and over again. But in this specific movie, he had to actually spend money, especially when you had the Dinobots, which is just absolutely amazing. But I felt like the ending of Iron Man 3. There was too much Iron Man, if that made sense. Because there was just too many bots going on, there was too many battles going on, and I think your comment is that, well, we got to see Galvatron, but the ending sucked with Galvatron. They shouldn't have done that.
No, they shouldn't have. I don't think we should really say what happened, because I really don't want to give an ending away, because that's lame. But it could have been cut out. It would have already made us know what was going to say.
Right.
The movie was already almost 3 hours long. And there was just so many parts in there that I was like, you could have shaved that off. You really don't need that, including the whole Galvatron end. But there were so many parts in it that were like, yeah, that's a little too much information that nobody cares about. Once again, I will always complain about the cheesy, crappy, random romance stuff. I understand that romance sells in a lot of these shows and movies, and I understand that they do it because some people like it, some people don't. I'm one that does not like it, and I really think they could have saved like a good, 15, 20 minutes of just cutting out some of the excessive romance stuff that didn't need to happen. Not that there's a lot of romance parts.
Oh, you gotta have that one. You gotta have that one kiss, though.
Mm-hmm.
And it's typical because he had that in the previous Transformer films when it was Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox, or Shia LaBeouf and who other girl was. I don't even remember. I've already forgotten. That's how memorable her acting ability was.
Megan Fox too.
Blonde Australian Megan Fox, sure.
We'll go with that.
We'll go with that from the Down Under, Miss Cleo. Wait, we're not going to talk about that.
Whoa, what?
We're not talking about Miss Cleo. We already had a conversation about Miss Cleo today. I think the film represents what... And I'm really feeling like I'm raping it, and I'm not trying to, but it's true. I feels like this film represents everything that's wrong with Hollywood in the hand of... Well, we don't have to have much of a storyline to make something work. Like, there was 3 giant story arcs in this film where they didn't even have to have a Galvatron section at all.
No.
It's just kind of like, well, no, let's put that in there. We're just kind of, we got to set up the next 3 films. I get you want to do that, but then you also had the fact that the Autobots were hiding, and then you had, obviously, the biggest part of the whole film, which, to me... in the trailer blew my mind, and one of the reasons why I wanted to go 4 story arcs, because I'm also forgetting about the Dinobots, is Lockdown, the Bounty Hunter, which was, to me, probably the biggest piece of the pie of the whole movie. And it kind of felt like he got shortchanged because they used him as a build-up with the Dinobots and just be like, nah, whatever.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I think they were just trying to cram so much in, and that's why this movie was 2 hours and 45 minutes. Like, it would have been comfortable if they just had the... not even the 3 out of the 4 story arcs, and Galvatron was even involved. And then you could have had, like, did like an X-Men snippet at the end, where after the credits roll, just be like, have that one pan-off section, be like, oh my god, Galvatron, and then that's it. And then it leaves you guessing for the next film.
Yeah.
I think that would have been more ideal, in my opinion, anyways.
I'll agree with that.
But there was other things that bothered me. That's really, I don't know why it's escaping me. We had such a good conversation about this on the way home, and now it's just like,
It's because it's been like 2 or 3 hours.
It's true, but it is a long drive back from Mississauga. So
that is true.
In my defense, I think the funny product placement in this movie was good.
Bud Light everywhere. It's raining Bud Light.
It's raining Bud Light. I think in this Star Trek. Why was I going to say Star Trek? Transformers. They really pushed for more of a humor into it. I found myself laughing a lot in this film. Yeah. Especially you. You found it pretty funny as well. I think that there's so much that can be done. Like, if you go back to the story arc comment thing, if we even dropped off the Galvatron thing, I think we could have shaved off an hour.
Oh, easy. Now, I understand why they put it there. You know, it does make sense in the storyline, but at the same time, yeah, they pushed so much all at once and then extended it for 3 hours, and they could have easily made that into 2 movies if they really wanted to keep all of that info.
Well, Michael Bay makes no bones about it. He wants to have a 6-part movie trilogy, or sixology. Is that what you would call it? The original trilogy. Channel Jamboree. But I think that as the hardcore Transformers fan, I'll tell you right now, and I won't spoil this part, but you will be greatly disappointed in the film. There's a lot of shortcuts that Michael Bay took, and I even said it to Ryan when it came down to Galvatron. I'm not going to ruin that part. I was like, why would you even bother? Like, you're not going to try it, don't even do it. If you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. And then you had Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch with an alien weapon.
But he did not drop his pants. Sorry,
ladies. He did not drop his pants. That was so true, thank God. But I mean, that kind of really annoyed me. It's like, okay, you're a human who conveniently finds a weapon, an alien weapon to size of a human, but mind you, these robots range between 15 to 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
That you can carry, and, I know what part I remember now, and you're going to laugh at me as soon as I bring it up. And then you're sitting here just peppering shots at, Transformers like nothing's wrong. And then you expect, with all the alien technology in the world, you'd use more than a mesh net.
Yes, the mesh net.
Like, what the fuck, the mesh net? Like, we're going to pick up this Transformer body. Should we use, grappling hooks or anything? No, we got some rope. You just never know when you're going to need rope.
It's true. It is true.
God.
And not only did it pick up a Transformer, it also picked up a human and an SUV.
That's some good rope.
That's some damn good rope. That might be hemp rope. That's probably why it's so strong.
Like, that kind of blew me away, the amount of rope that was used there. And I was like, I don't know. And then, I'm really nitpicking here, but then you had the dogs. I didn't know Transformers can have hair.
Yeah, the Transformer wild dog hyena
Boar
thing.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you smoking? You were smoking the hemp that you made the rope of to make those robots, I guess.
I think Michael Bay tries way too hard sometimes, and this terrifies me because I told Rainer on the way home about the movie. Just a couple things. I didn't want to ruin the movie. She might actually go see it, but that's hit or miss. But I'm kind of convincing her because I don't want to go to TMNT by myself. Like, you need to go. It doesn't look that bad, right? Michael Bay's directing it. I'm like, I know Michael Bay is directing it, but we gotta give it a shot. Why does the Shredder look like a Transformer? That part's not really relevant, but you really need to go see this film.
I wonder how many explosions the Ninja Turtles are going to use off of their weapons. I really hope that when every time they slice a foot soldier or a mouse or something, it explodes. That'd be awesome.
Not to get too far off track, but the foot soldiers are human in that film, and my recollection tells me that the foot was a robot.
See?
I don't know. What am I seeing?
A transformer?
You just lose your train of thought, didn't you?
See.
See, senor. Dear Diary. There you go. Just because if AJ ever hears this, he'll know we actually said Dear Diary.
Just for you, buddy. Dear
Just
Diary.
for you. Okay, so ultimately, out of 10, Ryan, what would you give this film?
Oh, it's a tough one. I'd probably I would actually give it a 7.
Ooh. And anything specifically what brought your points down?
That brought the points down?
Yeah.
The 3 times I had to pee during the movie, but couldn't, and only went once. Because it was a little too long. Well, let's see. Things that bring it down. The love shit, because I really don't.
This is like a personal thing, though.
Yeah, that's personal. The whole ending, which we won't talk about.
No.
That's probably about everything that would actually bring it down. It's all personal stuff of why. But then again, it's a personal opinion of what I scored out of.
There you go. Well, I'm actually going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to a 6 out of 10. And that hurts me to say that because, in my opinion, this is probably the second best of all the Transformer films. The first one was my personal favorite. The second one it wasn't bad. It was really revolved too much around Shia LaBeouf's character. And he gets really boring fast because he tries to play this adolescent teen when he's really in his mid-30s. And then the third movie, well, they fucked up a timeline there, and that just pisses me off when done Transformers. So in terms of films, this is out of 4, this is ranked 2. But even with that, it's still a 6 out of 10 because that movie was too goddamn long. I could have summed it up in 1 hour and 45 minutes, and that's me being polite. I probably could have cut the film down to an hour and a half. There was so much useless junk, so much useless shots. Marky Mark freaking thinking he's a goddamn fucking Spider-Man jumping down from the buildings, which doesn't even make sense, nor very likely that's going to happen.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, that really bothered me when I was like, you wouldn't do this in real life. It doesn't matter if that guy's coming after you. You still wouldn't do that.
How do you know? Maybe he had a poo and there was a bathroom at the bottom, and the only way down is by scaling, a Chinese apartment building.
Okay, well, fair enough. You have a turtle head poking out. I think that might help your motivation, but I don't know if I would scale a wall to go drop a deuce. I might just take the deuce off the rail. Just do it right there. Because I don't have standards in life, so that's okay.
Right off the building.
Right off the building.
Alright, so then the question is, what were the plus points for you in this movie?
I think the plus points, it's going to be with everybody else. It's going to be the Dinobots. You got to see the badassery of the Dinobots. And I know you're going to agree with me because that's probably going to be your number 1 point as well.
No, it's not.
Ooh, really? I'm kind of shocked. Mine would definitely see Grimlock, and I guess one other negative point I want to leave at is that I'm not a huge fan of character development. As long as the storyline's good, I kind of look at some of these movies like porn. No one watches porn for the storylines. So
I do.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. I really don't.
But it's true. We go to these films like Transformers and Expendables and what have you that are not Marvel film or DC films. There's going to be no real storyline. They're going to give you a plot line, but you're there to watch fucking mechs just fucking lay fucking haymakers and make it pretty epic. Mm-hmm. And I set the bar low with this film because the last film wasn't that good at all. But it was great to see the Dinobots, and I really enjoyed seeing them. I think the scene when fucking Optimus Prime just bitch slaps his Grimlock, that kind of hurt me. Or, no, I forgot one part that really made the theater pop, is when Buddy drove over the hill in his goddamn Subaru, but it's really a Chevy, and he hit the guy in the face with his tire.
Well, can we call it a Cheveroo?
A Cheveroo? I'm going to call it a Cheveroo, because it should have been a Subaru. I think that was the biggest pop in the theater, in my opinion. Because I actually looked over, and the two people sitting beside you almost looked like they started crying.
Crying or giggling? I don't know. They peed every 3 minutes, so...
Well, you know, bladders the size of peanuts, whatever. But I think the points that really got dragged down was the lack of character development, but the points that brought it to a 6 was definitely going to be the fact that Hound was finally in the film, and Hound was voiced by John Goodman, and to me that's always going to be a win, because I'm a huge John Goodman fan from the Roseanne days, which is kind of sad to say, and he's done a lot of voice acting since then.
It is not sad to say, because everyone is freaking agreeing with you right now. They're like, yeah,
I liked Roseanne. As soon as Roseanne started talking, everyone muted the TV and just waited for John Goodman to come back on screen.
It's true.
But I think that he was a huge piece of it. The Dinobots, the massive amount of destruction, which is very unlikely, but occurred. Poor Chicago, that got ruined before it got ruined again, and now Shanghai followed it. I think overall 6 out of 10 is a very fair assessment for any Michael Bay film. And that even goes to The Rock, which was actually my favorite Michael Bay film ever. Welcome to The Rock. Okay, so thanks for listening in regards to that, guys. We appreciate it. I wish we would have did more today, but we're pretty pooched.
Yeah, lots of comic book shopping.
Yeah, which we'll get to in a sec, but I'll just let everyone know, is there going to be an actual physical review put up? There will be one put up. I'm probably going to put it up on Tuesday. So it will have spoilers, and everyone can fuck off if they don't want to see it. But I'll put that up so everyone can actually have a good review of it. So, do you want to tell the news, or do you want me to tell the news?
I'll say it.
Okay, so you say it.
What we're going to do is, well, we have the podcast going. There's the Facebook. We're working on the website. I personally have been doing a lot of game reviews, and I will be continuing that onto the site once we're up and running. But we're going to be making a whole new section. What it is it's going to be our comic book loots. We haven't actually made a name of it, but what it is every once to twice a week, both Mr. J and I like to go out, hit up a few comic book stores, and we like to brag about what we bought and what we scored at some prices. So what we're going to be doing is just little videos of just some random stuff that we found at comic stores. So it's going to be comics, graphic novels, action figures, busts, stuff like that there.
I think that's a good idea, and I think the reason why I was happy when we brought that up as an idea is because I think that's one of the markets that we never really tapped, and that's probably one of the biggest draws we have is the comic market, and we never really talked about the comics. Well, me and Ryan can both agree that we kind of fell out of touch over the years when we came out of the comic books. And then as of late, we're like, oh my god, we totally need to get into comic books again. That'd be kind of awesome.
And the fact that everybody has restarted in the last couple of months, so it's easy to jump on board. Or it could be someone like me who's really into like the really old originals, which I do have quite a few now, originals, and that's all going to be part of this new show. It's not going to be a very long show. It's just, hey, these are what we got, look at the condition, a little bit of bragging, a little bit of, hey, these are really cool, check it out kind of thing.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think that we'll do, if worst case, we don't even get the videos done, I think we'll just do even a pod to talk about whatever comics came out that week. Like this week we have, I picked up Joker Live in Metropolis, which Ryan already had, which is already been sold out in every comic book store. I had to pay double the price to get this comic book.
Yeah, absolutely. It's The Joker Goes to Metropolis. to take on Superman, and it is freaking hilarious.
And then I have the new Harley Quinn, which is really just a rendition of the original.
Yeah.
Kind of like
issue
a variant
0,
cover.
I believe it is.
Yeah, issue 0. And then I got Superman 32, the #1 newspaper in Metropolis, which I don't know, as of late, since they started rolling out the Doomsday storyline of...
Oh, it's so good.
It is good. So that's why I was kind of like, oh, we totally got to give this a shot. So... So that's kind of like, I think that'd be kind of a fun idea. I don't know when we're going to officially start. I think maybe we can do one this week. Just talk about, just basically talk about what we collected this week and any specific storylines we're hoping they will go through and what we want to continue. Because I know one of my favorite storylines just ended, which is Deadpool versus Carnage, but Deadpool kills X-Force will be coming out in a couple of weeks as well, so that's going to be pretty exciting. And Ryan's got a couple other sets. Ryan's more into more of the Spider-Man, but I've been kind of poking at him to take DC.
And I have. With DC, I've started picking up some of the Superman. Obviously the Doom was absolutely amazing. Got to meet Ken Lashley, which both got Mr. J and myself signed issues, which is pretty badass. Gotten into Batgirl. She's pretty hardcore. Yeah. A little bit more graphic than I was expecting, because in my mind it's like Warner Brothers' The Batman from the 90s, which was an amazing show. I mean, yeah, it was. One series, though, that I'm picking up is the new Justice League United. Only I've been getting the variant issues, so it's Justice League Canada, since, in Canada here. And I've kind of started piecing it together, and they've just recently, in the last one, Supergirl showed up. And if I love anybody from DC, it's Supergirl. She's absolutely just amazing. I just love her. Oh God, I love her. So yeah, it's pretty fantastic. I do tend to lean more on the Marvel side, just growing up more in Marvel than the DC universe.
Right.
But I do like it all. Like I don't knock anything. Haven't knocked anything yet because, well, I haven't really read all too much against the norm that what I usually read.
Yeah, well, like I said, me and Ryan will figure out the specifics, and also on the next coming weeks as well. Oh, my days are going to get long, I tell you. Ryan and I will be relaunching the video game vault.
Sweetness.
I know. I'm going to be running 5 podcasts a week here. We're going to need a vacation from a free page. That's going to be kind of weird. Yes, and Ryan mentioned we will be launching a website soon. We've been holding off just to make sure everything's fine in detail, figure out everyone's tasks and stuff. So stay tuned. I'm pretty excited about that. And Ryan was originally as an admin on the page a long time ago, but he needed to focus on some other things. So, and Ryan's been doing his own work on his own page, which you can find him on Facebook.com. Look up the Kerplunq. Once in a while he posts things. I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, I haven't posted in so long. I've been so busy with everything else, and actually the thoughts of actually turning the page off has come across a few times, but every time I try to delete it, my heart tells me no, so I haven't.
Well, if you do, you can always come back to our page again.
It's true, and actually I might, because I don't know if the whole 62 people on my Facebook might...
Just promote the shit out of our page, move over our Twitter account. Just on a positive note, it's grown from like 150 to over 400 in a matter of a week and a half. So
yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
We're looking to grow. Absolutely, we're definitely growing, and our podcast is doing very well. So, like I've always said, you're always welcome on the podcast, which one day we'll actually have you over for a physical one. You were here once.
I was,
didn't
but
do it.
We didn't have it going. No.
No. All right. With that said, I hope everyone enjoyed the podcast today. Hope we didn't spoil the movie too much for you.
I tried so hard not to. So hard not to. So
now we're gonna go
hard.
some.
But Dinobots are awesome, and actually my number one was Kelsey Grammer being a bad guy. That was number one, and then Dinobots. Oh, the Dinobots are so awesome.
Yeah.
I want one now. I want a Grimlock, like a real one.
But do you think the Dinobots would eat chimichangas?
Of course they would. Why wouldn't they?
Game over, man. It's game over.
Thanks for listening to the Droids You Are Looking For podcast. Stay tuned for next week's podcast.
Remember, the Force will be with you always.